thinking stuff from which all things are made, and which in its original state permeates, penetrates, and fills the interspace of the universe. A thought in this substance, a thought in this substance produces the things that is imaged by the thoughts. I'll take that again. There is a thinking stuff from which all things are made, and which in its original state permeates, penetrates, and fills the interspace of the universe. A thought in this substance produces the things that is imaged by the thought. Man can form things in his thoughts, and by impressing his thought upon formless substance, can cause the things he thinks about to be created. It may be asked if I can prove this statement, and without going into details, I answer that I can do so, both logically and experience. Reasoning back from the phenomenon of form and thought, I come to one original thinking substance, and reasoning forward from this thinking substance, I come to man's power to cause the formation of the thing he thinks about. And by experiment, I find the reasoning true, and this is my strongest proof. If one man who reads this book gets rich by doing what it tells them to do, that is evidence in support of my claim. But if every man who does what it tells them to do gets rich, that is positive proof until someone goes through the process and fails. The theory is true until the process fails, and this process will not fail. For every man who does exactly what this book tells them to do will get rich. I have said that men get rich by doing things in a certain way, and in order to do so, men must become able to think in a certain way. A man's way of doing things is the direct result of the way he thinks about things. To do things in a way you want to do them, you will have to acquire the ability to think the way you want to think. This is the first step towards getting rich. To think what you want to think is to think truth, regardless of appearance. That should sink in. Every man has the natural and inherent power to think what he wants to think, but it requires far more effort to do so than it does to think the thoughts which are suggested by appearance. To think according to appearance is easy. To think truth regardless of appearance is laborious and requires the expenditure of more power than any other work man is called upon to perform. So he's trying to say that you have to think truth, and your truth has to be true for you, regardless of how whatever it is that is on the outside appears to be. So for you to actually create, we already established the fact that for something to go from thoughts to form, it takes a process of formation, right? It doesn't just instantly appear. It takes a process of formation. So just to make it easier, the only way you can do this is to strongly, unshakably hold the end result or the image of the end result of whatever it is that you're trying to manifest or produce strongly in your mind, even when or while you're going through the process of the becoming. And this is the reason why I keep saying that it is very, very important for you to script, because when you write, it's easier for you to write how you write the whole process or and the whole experience. And when you go ahead to read it every single day, read it every day, read it every day, it's easier for you to immerse yourself in the emotions that comes with it and hold that picture, the end product or the end results picture in your mind, as to just having a vague mental picture that does not have an actual written down plan. I hope that makes sense. There is no labor. Is trying to say here that one of the hardest thing for us to do is to think according to appearance is easy. What you say, right? You don't have to doubt it because you're already seeing it. But to think truth regardless of appearance is laborious and requires the expenditure of much more power than any other work man is called upon to perform. It takes a whole lot for you to believe it before you see it. There is no labor from which most people shrink as they do from that of sustained and consecutive thought. It is the hardest work in the world. This is especially true when truth is contrary to appearance. Every appearance in the visible world tends to produce a corresponding form in the mind which observes it, and this can only be prevented by holding the thought of the truth. The truth, that's your end result. To look upon the appearance of disease will produce the form of disease in to look at to look upon the appearance of disease will produce the form of disease in your own mind and ultimately in your body, unless you hold the thought of truth, which is that there is no disease. It is only an appearance and the reality is health. Wow. Wow, this book was written a long time ago. I would say that most of the books that or podcasts that people are doing these days might have been taking the foundation from this book, really. And thank God we're reading it now. To look upon the appearance of poverty will produce corresponding forms in your own mind unless you hold to the truth that there is no poverty, there is only abundance. There is only abundance. And to do this, you have to be so delusional and you have to employ every means possible for you to believe this truth is real. Be delusional, like if possible safe, just like in my own case I had to go and change the money that I have into foreign currencies and lie to myself. It doesn't really matter, and these things are quite very easy. You can start with as little as 5,000 naira, to be very honest. Just take it to a bookie and tell them that they should change it into the lowest amount of maybe dollars or pounds, and then you go this, and this money is not something that you hope or intend to spend. Obviously it is your manifestation money, so you can come with this money, and then you can even use like in my case I used pen to change the number of or the value of the currency, because it's not something you want to spend, right? It is just your tool of experiment, your tool of experiment. So you just do whatever it takes.